Okay, here we go. I think I'm all set up. Um, I have electricity and internet back. I know, I'll stop bragging. In any event, winter. Okay, couple things real quick. On our the main page, I put in this assignment calendar, something I sort of just always do at some point in the semester, usually, just to show what there is left, when the due dates are. There's the link to the broadcast, which is happening now, um, just to try to make it as clear as possible for people, because I know things get weird and harder um, towards the end of the semester. Um, Let me put it in student view real quick to see if I can. Okay, I opened week 10, but we're not on week 10. I've opened just because so week 9. So basically what I've tried to do was make everything clearer and simpler, as opposed to how I think it was originally. The template that we got for the course was a little bit, I don't know, unrealistic in my mind. So all we're doing this week is you're working on creating this rough draft of assignment 3, and then you're at the end of the week you will submit it in 2 places. So you will submit it to the discussion board for week 10, and also you will submit it to the assignment in week 9. So let me just make that clear, because basically that's just because we'll do the peer review next week. So we have 1 week this week, well, it's Wednesday, to do this assignment. Other new things. Oh yeah, I forgot. I tried to consolidate the documents, right? So instead of having like 6 different documents, it makes me anxious to see so many things. I just put them all in one. So they're all here. So you can, when it says, read something or whatever, that's where it is. Also, just in case, I tried to put them connected to different assignments. So the peer review, it's going to need to have a. Well, see, this is because I'm here in your view. Okay. All right, so I'll make sure that those things are there. But no matter what, they exist in all documents in one. So I did that for the rest for week 10, 11, and so on. So this is the week 9. Here are things. You're supposed to be reading the criteria for this research proposal and annotated bibliography. The idea is this is not an actual essay in a traditional essay format. You want to use APA format, but you're also just answering questions. So you're not really writing an entire essay. Let me show you here. So you're trying to do these 2 things, which are part of the writing a research paper process, right? So a proposal and an annotated bibliography. Okay, so basically, right, you can, however you want to do it, you could make each of these a paragraph, A, B, C, but you'd still, for our purposes for this, you would want to put them A, B, C, so I know which is which. Okay, so you're not just, so you're not writing an essay, you're just addressing each thing you're trying to focus on and deal with, and there's word counts for each part. Okay, so you want to talk about a couple of things. The first part is going to be all about coming up with the question, a research question or a problem. The director of writing, she's very interested in this idea that you don't try to find a topic to talk about, but you try to think of a question that you will answer, basically. Your thesis statement will be your answer to the question. Let me see if I can just get the link page here real quick. Okay. Okay, so the idea is for the question. So this is you, since it's 500 words, right? That's 2 double-spaced pages. So you're going to try to explain the question. It's all focused on the question itself. What is the question? So first of all, you need to have a question that's sort of worthy so you can have something to talk about, right? Meaning it needs to be interesting. It needs to be difficult to answer, right? So you're trying to come up with a question that's actually, that you'll be able to write quite a bit about. So it's a question because eventually you're doing a research argument. So a research argument question, one of the ways that I try to help people do this is I suggest that you try to create a question using certain words, like beginning, is, are, do, does, should, or some variation of those. So when you do that, you almost always sort of automatically frame your subject in a way that makes it more of an argument. So one of the subjects I saw somebody was dealing with, okay, I want to make this so I don't have to be doing that. So somebody was going to deal with the ChatGPT thing, which is rocking the world right now. I'm talking a lot about it in my face-to-face class because it's just something that I'm very interested in and I'm paying a lot of attention to it. But one way to make sure that your questions will work, right, is to make longer questions, right? So you don't just be like, is ChatGPT good or whatever. You're trying to create a question that's both more specific, but also will help you talk about it. So, okay, should ChatGPT be banned from schools? Okay, that's not too bad. But what we want to try to do is, again, give a direction to the talk. Like perhaps you want to deal with certain schools only, right? Maybe just higher education, just college. And instead of just it should be banned or shouldn't be banned, maybe creating a question that's more open question. And so that would mean that you're trying to use words like how or what, right? So these words basically create an argument question. Yes, it should. No, it shouldn't. Okay, and that's very simple, and that's usually for the type of paper. This is if you want a more open, right, something that's going to help you write a lot. You might think of words like how or what, right? Beginning with those. So, for example, like how should Chat GPT be used in higher education? Okay, so that's giving you a direction, and it gives you more to talk about, right? So now you can talk about what it is, the different aspects of it, instead of just a very simplistic, is it good or bad, basically. And so for any of the issues that you have, you whether you start out with an is, are, or do, does, or should, that creates an argument question, right? You want to figure out, and maybe you'll still be able to use those and come up with, but you want to think about something that's going to let you write about more. Open-ended, I guess, might be the way to think of it. Because you're trying to write, again, 2 pages double-spaced about this. So you need to create one that's going to, that you'll find things to talk about. All right. So this is, again, 500 to 800 words, quite a bit. So try to think of, and you can answer all of these things in it. Why is it interesting? You explain why this is interesting. What makes it difficult to answer? So if you use these prompts and you have an open question, right, you'll have a shot of, writing enough or having enough to talk about. Okay, so B, description of the scholarly conversation. So here's what you're looking for now. People who are involved in the field, right? And what are they saying about it? So in this particular case, you're going to be interested in AI, right? The AI world and education theorists. So what I would do is just make a quick, list for myself of who to talk about. AI technologists and creators, right? So those people, and then educators, if I do in college or in higher ed, and administrators maybe. Okay. So then my question is, I need to describe the scholarly conversation. So you want to try to find scholarly articles about AI and higher education, and that there are some. Um, Someone asked the other day, as far as sources go, you want to try to find two scholarly sources. So that's two articles from like journals that you can usually find through the library website. Um, and I'll show you that. I might just have to exit this so it lets me do it. Okay, so the library, I just start using this here, right? So I just put, I don't know, Chat GPT into AI. So that I'm searching. Okay. The other thing I do, so there's a few things on this page. I'm just refreshing people's memories, hopefully. But over here on the side, um, I want it to be full text because I want to just be able to find it. And like when I see it, I want to have it. Um, Other things to do is if you click advanced, it just gives you you can add words to it. I see that as if you know of an article by an author, you could put an author in and try to find it. Um, so like, well, okay. All right. So I have, again, with the full text, you want to try to find two that are peer reviewed. So journals. So how much do we have here? Okay, not too many because I've actually put a very ChatGPT and AI, right? That's sort of, those are limiters, right? If I just put artificial intelligence, I'll probably get more and so on. Okay, so in this article in Nature, right? So I would organizational behavior impact. So since this is a very new subject, right? There's also not going to be too much, and you want the absolute most recent stuff because otherwise, if you read about artificial intelligence, like I don't know, even 6 months ago, the world of AI is so radically different right now that it's almost not even worth reading whatever that was, because basically no one was really saw this on the horizon, like regular people like us, right? Didn't really see this coming. And it was not something that I was at least aware of that was even a possibility, right? AI in my mind was always like robots and so on. In any event, um, healthcare. Okay. We could, the other thing you can do, right, if you're deciding that, we want to try to see if there's higher ed connections. Oh, okay, so no good. Maybe I'll get rid of one to see if I can widen it a little bit. Okay, so that didn't work. So I would probably now do artificial. So it might be too new. ChatGPT, I mean. Hmm, well, that I am actually surprised about. Okay, it's a pretty good one. All right, so I'd find two articles of those. Again, you need two that are scholarly. The rest can be credible, but they don't need to be peer reviewed from journals, right? They need to be from real organizations or whatever that know what they're talking about, essentially, right? Credible, not just some guy's blog or whatever. So that's what the whole description of the conversation is about. So what I need to try to figure out is what are people saying about artificial intelligence and higher education? Like, you know, who was, and maybe this is where I do go back in time, right? So there used to be theorists, and here's what they said, or here's what they were predicting, and here's where we are now. In any event, I want to get into the scholarly conversation. So, whatever your subject is, you need to try to find sort of the academic conversation that's going on about it. Um, like if you're doing guns policy or something, you want to talk about it in terms of like political policy or law or constitutional law, right? That's the academic angle on your subject. That's what scholarly conversation is all about. Okay, so then you need to find some specific examples. You need information, data, right, that you can use to talk about it. So I need to find a study that deals with artificial intelligence and higher education, or a study that talks about what ChatGPT can do or not, and what it might do, or whatever. But the whole key is I need a real, actual example, um, for my subject matter, and then I'm going to explain. Here's what I'm going to do, and also one I'll use a quote from it. But why am I choosing this one? Where did it come from? Right. So if I can find a study about that, I'm in good shape. And I want to use, so you need a study or an example of one situation, or study's the best probably because that's data. All right, key concepts for your paper. So concepts are sort of the broad thing. So what are some of the issues that are going to be am I going to deal with, you know, for my subject? So the concepts are going to be like the value of higher education, um, the writing process. These are all sort of broad ideas, right? This is what concepts are. What learning, future of work, whatever. Right. So I'm going to come up with some of these concepts, and then maybe it says explain at least one in detail. Maybe I'll pick two, do those. Where did I learn about it? Right. I've thought about it. I've thought about the writing process for 25 years. So, and then I'll quote from one of my sources. All right, the annotated bibliography. This is where it says you need two scholarly peer-reviewed sources. It wants you to look in the writer's reference. I actually have those. I'm going to post those. I have those sections. I also have what I've also just made up for annotated bibliographies, because we do these quite a bit. Hold on a sec. Let me